Hi, everybody. Mr. Gowerluck here, and we're going to be talking about how scientists develop and use geographic models to explain how different things work. So, in order to get to these special types of models and geographic ideas, we're going to have to take a look at what scientists do to create those. So, what we'll do is we'll take a look at this. This is the state of Minnesota, and hopefully it looks a little bit familiar to you. By the way, it's also known as a map. You can find these online. You can find these where you actually hold them in your hand and you open them up and you look at them. And these blue lines that are kind of squiggly, those are highways. And this happens to be a highway that leaves Minneapolis's largest town, Minneapolis, and heads northwest through towns like St. Cloud, Sauk Center, Alexandria, up to other areas beyond. Now, if you're looking for on this map to figure out where are we, well, if you look right here, there's this A, and there's an O, an N, and an O, and a K, and an A, Anoka. And we are right in this area, and Ramsey is just a little bit north, little maybe even northwest slightly, northwest. You'll probably recognize other names of other cities on this map as well. Coon Rapids. Out here is Wisconsin. See, this is like a completely different shaded map, and there's Eau Claire. You might have heard of Eau Claire. You might have heard of River Falls or Hudson. Down here, there's Mankato. As we go to this side, it says MINN. Well, that means this part is Minnesota. And on the other side here, we have a different state. But they put their label for that up here. S period DAK, N period DAK, and there's this dotted line that separates these two. So what this means is, yep, North Dakota is up here, South Dakota is down here. And you'll notice Minnesota isn't a perfectly straight line. It follows a river path. It heads out, brings in Browns Valley into Minnesota, and then that river path, it forms the border between North Dakota and South Dakota. So you'll notice that there's a lot of unique things when you look at maps. As we take a look at our map and we start to get a little closer look, there are towns on this map that might be very familiar to you. You know, we have Champlin, which is across the river. Just to help you get your bearings here, we have the Mississippi River right here. Okay, and then anything that's dark green right next to the river, those happen to be parks. So there's a really big park right here that almost goes right up to this gold line. This gold line is Highway 10. Okay, and then there's a white line. That means it's a smaller highway. That's 47. It's also the continuation of Ferry Street, if you're familiar with that. But I have a feeling some of you probably, if I change this up, you'll become much more familiar if I do this. Now let your eyes kind of get used to this for a second. And I'm just going to move in a little closer. And I'm going to move in a little closer. And now you probably start realizing, ooh, look at this down here. A lot of green with rows of trees. I wonder what that is. Oh, up here. You see this area where it's kind of brownish tan and then green around it? Those look like ball fields. Okay. Right in here, this looks like something, a lot of buildings and little roads. And obviously we see this, and it appears that we have something going across it. Well, that's a bridge, and this is the river. Question is, which river is it? And if you know about Anoka, you know that Anoka is an area where there's two rivers that come together just on the east side of this bridge. And this is the 169 bridge going across. But this is the Rum, and this is the Mississippi. Let's move in a little closer because I think things will become even more familiar with you as we move closer. Okay, now you're starting to see some of the identifying names pop up. Okay, Rocket Park. Mauer, Maine. They must have, I wonder if they paid to have their name on that. Uh-oh, look at this. Here's home for us when we're learning. Franklin Academy of the Gifted, Franklin Elementary School. I will go even closer. Now it should really start to look familiar to you. Obviously, you can tell that there isn't snow on the ground. You can tell that based on the color, because we call that grass, everybody. Another thing you can tell is that this is a perfectly straight line on Franklin Lane. The south is down below, and the north is straight up. And north would continue to go straight. Franklin is actually set at an angle. I don't know if you knew that, but so these rooms in this, especially in like the new wing, they're not facing perfectly straight north. Okay. They are looking towards the northeast. So these roads are at a diagonal. Let's see if we can get in a little closer. Oh, yeah. Here we go. This is something we've definitely seen. So what I'm going to be asking you to do is take a look at this map, pause the video here, and I would like you to start drawing out what you see as the Franklin schoolyard model. Okay? Now, as I move this around, you will be able to see Main Street comes in at an angle. And so this isn't going to be a perfectly straight left to right line. It's got to be a diagonal line. This road has to be at a diagonal. This is Branch. And this is the crossing area. And the buses are picking people up over here. But there must be some, when they took this picture for Google, we normally don't have cars parked here, do we? I wonder if they took this picture either during a school event or conference nights or some special event, special thing going on here. Take a look at this part of the schoolyard model and feel free and pause this so you can do some, make some drawings of your own. We don't have trees in the middle of our playground area here with the track, do we? What do you think this is? I'm thinking those are people. I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm thinking we have people here, and the Google helicopter went over the top of us at a time when kids were outside for recess. Because look over here on the playground, you still have more shadows of what look like could be people. Okay, now here's that storage building. There's some trees. We have that teacher parking lot area over here with the long path leading to where we have parent pickup back here on Wingfield. Okay, there's a lot of things that you notice. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, like I say, pause the video at certain points and allow yourself to draw a schoolyard model. When you draw your schoolyard model, there's going to be a few things I'm going to ask you to do. Give it a title. You can call it what you want. It's probably simply called the Franklin schoolyard model, but give it a title. You also might have symbols, because not all of us can draw things perfectly. You might have a symbol in here, or a symbol for trees, or a symbol for different cars. That's up to you. Your streets, as you label those, again, consider that we have Calhoun over here, Branch on the east side, Wingfield on the west. On the south side, and I will pause it right here, you have West Main, okay? And then you have the building that's shaped it's not perfectly straight. I mean, there are parts of it that are straight, but it has this angle to go into the gym. And then up here, you can tell, boy, it seems as though we've had one part, maybe a second part, and a third part that could have been put on at different times. So what I want you to do also is put a compass rose in there. Do you know what a compass rose is? It's something that tells you what north, south, east, and west are. And for us, the roads don't show us north, south, east, and west perfectly. If you follow my cursor, that's north, that's south, that's east, and west. So it's going to go east-west, north-south. It's not perfectly in line with the roads. And so you may have to have, like I said, a key or a legend that tells us what certain things mean for you. But the biggest thing for me is try to see if you can add the detail needed where this will look like Franklin Elementary when you're done. We have a small parking lot. We have a bigger parking lot. The shape of our school is such where it's kind of at an angle. We have a sidewalk here. That's different. This is kind of the newer updated sidewalk, I believe. So, and then of course the scale, you're not going to worry about the scale yet, but that would be part of a map that you would do. Now, what does this drawing lead to? Well, we might be eventually talking about volcanoes or lakes or mountains. You might feel that you want to try creating your own type of landform scenario. And in this case, this student made 7 different landforms on this sheet. Okay. And he actually used some baking materials. He was able to, well, he didn't eat them afterwards, but he could have if he wanted to risk illness. Here's another one. We have we have a diagram or a diorama, this is called, of 7 different kinds of landforms. And we have a dead horse. I'm just kidding. Look at this one. We see an island. We see ocean water. We have a volcano with lava. But there's also a flow and a meandering flow. It's not a perfectly straight line. We have hills. There's other things here, that makes this really, really neat. Look at how excited this guy is about what he made. And he add labels to what he did. And it turned out really, really nice. This is a model of a kind of land that he was to make. Simple styrofoam cups work. Absolutely. Popsicle sticks, paper, toothpicks, little flags to identify things, or you can get elaborate and fancy. So there are options, there are choices to create. And look at this one. We have actual wetland marsh material here and a peninsula, and you have plains. We know they're plains because it's flat area. You have a lake, you have a mountain, you have a desert, which means there's heat there. You have an island out here with, of course, that volcano. Kind of looks like it's from The Incredibles or something like that. And I believe they created a stream. And over here, there was a waterfall. So as you look at this, as you start thinking of the things that you can, first of all, start with the drawing, then create that model of things. There's different materials you can put in there. There's different kinds of you can get very creative. You can get really creative with this. So I know the kind of kids we have at Franklin. They love a challenge. They just love being creative and coming up with ideas. So first of all, start with a regular piece of paper, okay, and draw your schoolyard model, okay? Again, give it a title, label north, south, east, west. Give it different colors so we know that, the parking lot is different than the football field. The football field is different than the school, okay? So do that first, and then we'll start talking about, as we go, more of the kinds of things that we can do to make different types of models, maybe things we don't see in the state of Minnesota. For example, volcanoes, mountains, things like that. Anyway, it's been a good start here. I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, the person to talk to, Mr. Long, he can help you. No question about it. So anyway, that is our introduction to our schoolyard model. So your assignment right now is draw Franklin Elementary. And if you're new to Franklin, go back in the video, pause it, and use that as your guide. Thank you.